Hello, 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 and welcome everyone. Welcome to this pre-recorded edition of the group chat, Radical Change with Vonda Page. I am your host, Vonda Page, and I am so excited to welcome today Nicole Vick. Nicole Vick is a public health advocate, community connector, and image consultant, and I am excited that she and I are going to have a series of conversations. And this first one, is going to be all about, we're going to just get into public health and really, talk about the implications of public health, especially when it comes to the lives of Black people, but especially Black women. So welcome, Nicole. How are you doing?
I am so happy and excited. Thank you so much for the invitation, Vonda. I'm ready to jump in and get to talking.
Well, let's do it. So first of all, I love the fact that when I meet Black women, I love hearing our different accents. And meeting Black women from different parts of the country. So I grew up in Philly, and so I think because of my accent, I hear and can pull out other accents. So even though I know you are on the West Coast now and in LA, where are you from originally? Did you grow up on the West Coast? Because I feel like I hear a little Southern something coming out, a little bit.
That is so funny because I don't think I have an accent, first of all. But people have said that to me, and I say, well, only thing I can tell you is I probably am channeling the spirit of my great-grandparents. My great-grandmother's from Tennessee.
There we go.
Who's coming, and then they went to Oklahoma, and then they came to Los Angeles. So maybe that's what it is. I don't know.
I love it. So you grew up in Los Angeles. So tell me about growing up on the East Coast, right? You don't know a bunch about the West Coast, when it comes to other than pop culture, entertainment, and stuff like that. So I'm curious as to what about your upbringing got you interested in public health and kind of, how that sparked. So tell us a little bit about LA and what was that like growing up there?
Sure. I'm sure all y'all think that the whole LA is like Boys in the Hood or the movies that we see, that depict South Central Los Angeles. And, to be honest, a lot of it is, grounded in some reality, right? Y'all
yes.
Like, NWA and Ice Cube and Dr. Dre, y'all think the
That's
whole
right.
world is like that. And it's not. But at the same time, a lot of that is actually, very much how our culture here is in LA. I don't know. It's hard to explain because, kind of what you said. I don't hear the accent. I don't know that. I just was here. I was here. I lived a couple miles away from the University of Southern California. So
okay.
There was always this duality that I sort of lived in. There's this big university of rich white people, and then here I am. I'm a few miles away, just a regular or lower income Black family.
Yeah.
My mom, dad, my younger brother. But then there was the other duality of my grandparents and my great grandparents, who I would say were relatively higher income. They were not super rich, but they lived in what we call Black Beverly Hills here in South Los Angeles, which is called View Park, Baldwin Hills area.
Okay.
And so it was this weird life I navigated. Went to private school, parochial school for some of my life, and then I went to public school for a little bit. So I kind of walked in and out of a lot of different types of situations. I could say also just, a fun fact, I hadn't gone to or visited Compton or Watts until I had gotten much older. So
really?
No, that's the East Side. We don't go over there. So even in our communities, there was already sort of that thought of division. You're different. So it was a lot of interesting nuance. I remember the gang culture and, in the 90s being really scared. You can't wear red. You can't wear blue.
Yes.
All that kind of stuff. So that's kind of that's what I grew up in my experiences growing up.
I love that. I love that because like I said, it's so funny because I was in college when Ice Cube and, all of that came out. And you're right, right? And you think Boys in the Hood and John Singleton, you think a certain thing, but knowing that the media, and that's a whole nother tangent we could go off on another day. Oh my goodness. I have over the past, I would say 15, 18 months, learned so much more about the media's literal control of every single piece of entertainment and art that gets to hit the public market. It does not come like every piece is ultimately scrutinized by the culture, the white supremacist power culture. We don't get to make a rap song, we don't get to make a pop song, a country song. There is no music, there is no nothing, right, without that approval and that gatekeeping there. So so to think about what all we saw in the late 80s and early 90s about the gang culture and this and that, and it was so much of it was made up and manufactured to exist. Like, it wasn't like it was a bunch of, black people sitting around in projects saying, hey guys, I think we should start gangs and do that. That's not how that happened. All of that was architected and instrumented. And so think, 20, 30 years later, and we're looking like, this is one of the reasons that people have the viewpoints and the opinions that they have, right? About neighborhoods, about people, about communities. And so I am so glad that you shared that. And I mean, this is going to be clips for the ages, about talking about that, because it is such an important thing. So when you think about, growing up in such, a diverse area, right? How does the topic of health, whether you're talking about, individually, people's emotional, social, psychological, physical, mental health, and in consideration of public health, how does that look, and what is that discussion like in such a diverse area?
Yeah, I think you said something that was really important about how things are created and structured, and you talked about white supremacy, and we all know that neighborhoods and how we live and operate in neighborhoods and how we're able to navigate through the systems and institutions in our society are designed on purpose, a certain way, right, to benefit some people and to disadvantage others. And so if you really think about the history of South Central Los Angeles, of South Los Angeles in a larger sense, it's a textbook case of, again, these neighborhoods being carved out. Black and brown folk, y'all, this y'all side, we over here. We're gonna keep you down here. Again, my great grandparents came to Los Angeles in the 1930s. Were business owners, and I still to this day I need to talk to a professor or somebody. Like, how were they able to do so well? My great grandfather had a Shell gas station. And he was a real estate broker. My great grandmother had a salon on South Central Avenue back in South LA. And back in the day, that's where they couldn't live anywhere else but there. The redlining, all of those things kept poor Black and brown folks in one neighborhood and kept everybody else in a different neighborhood. So, and those things don't just go away. You don't just get born in the 1980s or the 1990s and now, things are okay now.
All better. Exactly.
To perpetuate themselves. And future generations, again, are impacted by those things. And then what happens? Now in 2022, a house down the street from me is on sale for $1 million. I live off of Crenshaw and Slauson down the street from Nipsey Hussle's store.
Wow.
And a house is on sale for $1 million. Who's buying these houses?
Wow.
So, it plays into this idea of who's really in charge here. Who really sets the tone? Who really decides what is important and what's not? And when they want to come back to your neighborhood that you think belongs to you, it don't belong to you.
Nope.
Because they'll flip the script and nobody came by that house. But
hello.
So we can, like you said, we can go there.
Yes, indeed. Because I'm just like, oh my goodness, this, and the thing is, right? It's all there's a woman. Her name is Sonia Reese Taylor, and she's a Black woman. Have you heard of her? Okay. she said this. I think she might have said this in January or February, but I can't get it out my mind because it's so perfect. When she talked about how we are living in the imagination, right, of rich white dudes. We living in their imagination. Everything that Elon wake up and want to do, everything Jeff wake up and want to do, everything Tim Apple wake up and want to do, everything they wake up, Bill Gates, whatever the freak they wake up and want to do, they put it out here, and then here we are, the robots, right? The slaves, the new slaves. We the new slaves. Don't get it twisted. It's not the old slaves. We the new slaves. But still, right? We living in their imagination, right? We are living in their imagination. And how, right? And why, right? We are allowing it, right?
Yeah.
You know?
And it almost feels like, I mean, what can you do?
Right.
And actually, to answer your first question, which you had really asked me, and then I went on a tangent.
That's okay.
That stress of trying to navigate those systems that were not built for us. So, just in case people don't know, all these institutions, education, housing, banking, all of these things, these institutions in American society were not designed for Black people. They were not built for us. They were built to exclude us, right?
Right.
We have to get in, or we have to create our own. And we have plenty of examples of that in our lives where we had to build our own. But all that to say, all of that stress of being poor, of trying to navigate this society that we live in, wears down our bodies. And that's why we are sick. That's why our blood pressure is high. That's why we have diabetes. Trust me, it's not really the donuts. I mean, could it be the donuts? Maybe.
No, it's not. No. It's way more than that, and I'm gonna tell you, and then we're gonna go off, and this is a health conversation, so it's good. So I'm gonna tell you. So since COVID, right? So, I've been living by myself since my daughter, went to school or whatever, right? So, you go through one thing being an empty nester, because if you don't have, if you don't have little kids, your life is pretty much yours, and you eat and drink and do whatever you want, and everything is good. So over COVID, when I was totally stuck in the house, right, I was experimenting with food and experimenting with my diet and nutrition and this and that. Just playing around, because it's like, okay, I'm not traveling like I was for work, going to the Bay and whatever. So I can see for myself what things really cause me to have high blood pressure, or, is my blood sugar low or high, this and this and that, right? So I take pretty good care of myself. I exercise. I have, I try not to eat food out of boxes and bags, because I grew up on food out of boxes and bags and cans. So when you grow up on boxes, bags, and cans, that's one of the reasons I love Oregon. I think I've even told you that, it's because everything is fresh here. Literally, I can reach outside and I can eat something off of a tree or out of a yard because it's fresh food here. And so for me, right, it's a thing, because I know, and to your point, right, it's not the jelly donuts causing diabetes and different things. So over the 2 years that we were stuck in the house with COVID, right, I did some very specific things in terms of just really paying attention to what I eat. And I literally don't eat any I just call it fake food that has any fake stuff in it. I literally only eat whole, real food. And even if I go out to eat, I don't eat fast food or anything like that. I will go only to a real restaurant with real food. Right. Mm-hmm. So over from March, we got stuck in the house, right? From March of 2020 to this,
we still in the house.
We kind of still in the house, but really but over 2 years, right? From March to March. So I have probably, I would say I've lost weight, right? My blood sugar and all that is good, but my darn what's that other one? The high blood pressure. I mean, blood pressure is it's average, but my what's the other one? The one you said.
Blood sugar?
Not blood sugar. Like cholesterol or whatever. Right. And so starting to understand, to your point, that especially as Black people, because of, our trauma and the the impact of that trauma on our bodies, even when we maintain what society says is a healthy weight, even when we maintain what society or medical people say is healthy nutrition, even when we do all of that, right, we still have the impacts of what that trauma does to you. And so I think it's important to, talk about that so people understand, what public health, like what that actually, like what that actually means, right?
Right.
Um,
Absolutely.
yeah. So how do you think about framing that conversation, in a general way, right, for people to be able to get it?
Well, usually when I talk to people about what public health is, I talk to them in simple terms. Public health is about prevention of disease, promotion of health in communities. So if a doctor is concerned about your individual health and curing you from disease, public health is saying we don't want you sick in the first place. We want to keep you out
Mm-hmm.
of the doctor. And what can we do to create an environment that you are healthy and you are doing, have the resources and opportunity to live your best life? So that's really all public health is. It's not the health department, right? That's one aspect of public health, but there are
Mm-hmm.
many types of entities, organizations that do this kind of work. So we're looking at, wow, how is the community designed? What types of policies and practices exist that make things hard for people to be healthy, and let's fix those things. So the conversation about food that you just talked about, a lot of people think that, well, it's an individual thing. You need to eat better. And it's your fault that you are fat or that you have high blood pressure and you have diabetes because you eat terribly. That's your fault. The
Mm-hmm.
public health perspective says, hold on, what access and resources are in the community so that people have access to food. And if and like I know,
If you're in
everywhere
a food desert, that's
have
right.
access to healthy food. And then the whole idea of food being sort of a social justice issue where
Yes.
it's a privilege. For example, I'm a vegan. I've been vegan for many years. It's a
Mm-hmm.
privilege to be vegan, to
Yes,
decide
yes,
that
it
you
is.
have to eat certain things, right?
Yes, it is. It
So
is, and yeah,
yeah.
yeah, I love that. So the thing that is like burning inside of me about the public health conversation is, if you think about, because soon as you said health centers, it made me think about. So my mother was a public health nurse, right, for years, right, and but if you think about the word public and you think about the government and governing, if the government wanted us to be healthy, we could be healthy. So as soon as you said the privilege of being a vegan, it made me think, because I probably eat, I probably in a 30-day period, I probably have uh 40% vegan meals.
Mhm.
And it is a privilege to eat vegan. And the thing is, most people, black and indigenous people, they wouldn't even have the privilege to eat vegan because they live in food deserts. They live in areas where they get the B, C, and D grade food. They don't get the A grade food. Um and they wouldn't even be able to afford it because the fresh food costs more than the dollar Mc muffin McGriddle Mc whatever sandwich, right? That whatever, right? And so the public aspect, the word public, and the way that this whole thing, to me, the word that was coming to my head was the accountability, and the fact that it's one of those things where pull yourself by your own bootstraps. You don't have to be fat, just stop eating the donuts. No, 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 no. If there's no grocer that has fresh food, if there's no sustainable gardens, if there's no community gardens, if there's no way to me to have food that is fresh, then how are you blaming me for, some health problem? So how do the advocates who get the fact that public health is not, this one, skinny thing like, oh, we need to educate the public on how to be, quote, quote healthy unquote, right? That it's
Yeah.
not bad. How do the advocates of public health, how do you all communicate and help people understand their role, right, in helping to drive public health and thinking about accountability, for yourself as well as each other?
That's a good question, and then let's keep the food conversation going. Let's because that's
Yeah.
I think something that people can really understand and grasp. So I'll just and again, let's use some real life examples because I live in a neighborhood where again there's a $1 million house down the street for sale, but there's some other things going on. So listen to this.
Yes.
Let's talk about it.
Yes.
Come.
Yes.
So
Yes.
down the street from my house is a Ralph's. A Ralph's is owned by Kroger. So some parts of the country, I believe, it's
Yep, we
called.
got Kroger here. So here,
So
our Kroger's is called Freddie Myers. So, yep,
okay. So
yep, got
here
you.
it's called Ralph's.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a Ralph's down the street from my house. Now during the pandemic, and I'm sure if Kroger was listening, they would say you're lying. That's not true. But this how we interpreted what happened. So during the pandemic, the people that was working in them grocery stores put their lives at risk, bringing up
Yes,
your
they did.
groceries in the
Yes, they
midst of
did.
all this COVID swirling
Yes, they
around.
did.
Some of them got sick. Some of them died.
Yes, they did. Yes,
Okay,
they did. Yes, they
so
did.
here in LA, the city council was like, we want you, grocery stores, to pay heroes pay for these grocery clerks that's out here putting their lives at risk. Um,
Yes.
to take care of everybody, and food is a much needed resource. People need food. Okay,
Right.
so all I know is, and I think I'm not the only one that feels this way in this community. Next thing I know, baby, that Ralph shut down. That Ralph closed,
Mm.
gone. Okay, and I heard about it happening. I couldn't even really process it until I literally drove by there and looked, and the sign was down, the gate is down. I'm like, oh, they for real closed the whole grocery store in the middle of a high density neighborhood full of people. That store wasn't underused. That
Right.
store wasn't underutilized. What kind
Because
of
they didn't want to pay. Because they didn't want to pay. Because oh my God, that broke my heart. But let me tell you, it's happened here. So they did it here in Oregon. There's a couple of families, okay, that own all kind of restaurants. They own lodges that you could do like, girls weekend trip, or take your romantic partner or your family. You could do high school reunion, beautiful places like that. Then they have little bar type places with, craft beer. They have a whole bunch of these. These people closed down, let the workers and stuff go. The owners and stuff will open up, make them. I will never go to that place again. And there's so many of them, and it's a family, and I drive by there and I just want to put the middle finger up and be like, because how do you, and so you think about closing a grocery store, and what they did here in Oregon, those same people, same Kroger family, what they did here, they took the money back. They gave everybody $4 more. About 4 months ago, they took the $4 away from the people. They took the
wow.
$4 an hour away that they was giving the essential workers. And I had not shopped there since then, but then yesterday I needed something delivered, and only it was either them or Walgreens, and I was like, damn.
Yep. It's crazy. And in our community, we understand, grocery stores operate on a slim profit margin. We get all of that. There have been organizations. So to answer your question even further, there are organizations here in South Los Angeles for years that have been working to get grocery stores in this community that want it better for the neighborhood. Because, you go on the west side of LA, Culver City, Santa Monica, all over that way, there are grocery stores on every corner in some neighborhoods. But here we don't have enough access to food, and so there were organizations, and I'll name them: community health councils, community coalition, who was started by Karen Bass, who is running for
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Los Angeles right now. that were really like, what is going on? We need more grocery stores. They wanted Trader Joe's to come, and Trader Joe's said, we're not coming over here. You know, your neighborhood don't fit our demographic.
Are you
But
serious?
ironically, there's a Trader Joe's now at USC, which is in the middle of South Central Los Angeles. But it's for the students, right? So there's like, everybody is like, you know, come on, what's really going on? And on top of that, some of the other work that they were doing, those organizations were holding these grocery stores accountable, the ones that were here, like, why is the meat green? Why are the vegetables expired? What are you doing? Like, we deserve better than that. And so, again, you living in a neighborhood where you can't even get good food. Either your store is closed or the grocery store looks nasty. And then there's crime in your communities. There's no jobs. The houses are $1 million now. Like, how are you supposed to navigate? How are you supposed to live through that? And be healthy and not be stressed out? Because now you got to figure out how you're going to pay your rent, because your rent done went up.
Right.
You ain't have no access to food. You don't feel safe sending your kids to school.
Right.
So all these things are happening to you. It's not the donut, baby.
It's definitely not. And to bring it back, it is not the donut. I think the name of this episode is, Baby, it's not the donut. So I don't know if you are on TikTok. Are you on TikTok?
Yes.
There is a woman. So it's so many dope ass black women on TikTok. So for everybody listening to these two dope black women talking right now, y'all need to get yourself on TikTok if you just need some black joy every now and then. And just somebody to, you know, there's a woman on there, her name is Nikki. I love her. And she said, baby, whenever she got something to say, she records in her car, and whenever she got something to say, she said, let's be clear. But she bang on the window and she say, listen up. So this is what people need to hear, is what you just now saying. It's not the donut. It's not the donut. And the thing is, not only is it that these communities are purposefully designed not for us to thrive, they are designed to kill us. They are not designed for, they're designed to kill us. Why would you give people D and C rated food? No, meat should never be green. Right? Why wouldn't a Trader Joe's now, and I love Trader Joe's products, because you can buy a $3 bottle of barbecue sauce in Trader Joe's that doesn't have no artificial ingredients in it. Right. Why wouldn't you put that store in the hood or any other neighborhood, but it's only in expensive neighborhoods? That doesn't even make no damn sense. Now, and then you have Walmarts in the shitty neighborhoods. You have the shitty food with the shitty service and the shitty whatever. And meanwhile, the Walton family, they have so much wealth. They probably have as much wealth as the BlackRock people, right? And so, but right, and here we are taking jobs at Walmart to make $7 to $8 an hour, and you can't live. Not one community in America can you live in a 1-bedroom apartment on minimum wage. Not one community in America. Not in Alabama, even in poor Mississippi. Like I look it up all the time. You still cannot, on minimum wage, you cannot live here in America. And so there's no way, if you're making minimum wage and you can't even afford to have a 1-bedroom apartment in a family of 4, mind you can't even have that. How the hell you gonna have food that is not going to be harmful? And then this made me upset when I read this a couple of weeks ago about the list of foods that we have here that is considered poison and outlawed all around the world. It's way bigger than it was before. And there's still things on here now that I didn't know other countries still didn't do, like Mountain Dew and Cheetos and stuff like that. They won't even sell that in other countries. Yeah.
It's some of the dyes and some of the chemicals that they put in.
Yes, the preservative chemicals that make it last for 18 years. A bag of junk lasting for 18 years on the shelf.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing. Once you start to learn these things and understand them, it is very hard to unlearn them. And that's why, I don't know if I mentioned this, I'm also a professor of public health. I teach at Occidental College, where Barack Obama went for So I teach there. I teach undergrads about public health. And, for me, it's about, hey, I'm going to give you this public health lens, literally like a pair of glasses.
Yes.
I want you to see the world through a social justice lens and understand how things work. so that when you go out into the real world as an adult and you have your degree and you're trying to vote and decide on what to do with these policies about housing and homelessness and food access, you know how to vote to make sure that everybody has the same access. Because it's crazy once you really start to understand how, people say the system is broken. The system is broken, baby. The system is not broken. It is not broken. It is working exactly as it is trying to work. And it's working to exclude you.
That's right.
Work.
Right. So how do we help people think about what is their action in this, right? And so if I'm not a current college student, or I'm not a current, person working in academia, if I'm not working in the health field, but I still care about this, I still am mad as hell, I still want to see some kind of justice, and I want to see, people start to understand this in a different way. What are some things that I like to say, the regular people that's not in this field or in that area, what are some things they can do, and what do they need to know and be aware of?
So there's a lot of things that people can do, and it might sound like there are really a lot of things that you can do. I want to say first and foremost, public health and social justice is not just about health care. It's not just about food. It's not just about those things. It's about housing. It's about transportation. It's about, it is about healthcare in some ways, but there's so many other things. Think about it. If you can't afford your housing, you're going to not spend money. We just talked about this on things that you need to be healthy, like food, your gym membership. You're not going to be able to do that. If you have to live 3 hours away from your job, that is stressful, right? So it's not just about healthcare and healthcare access. Secondly, I often tell people you have the power right now to do some things to make some changes in your community. So your goal should be how to improve my community where I stand today. You don't have to have degrees. You don't have to have $1 million. You can do what you can with what you have. I started doing pop-up shops in my backyard in 2018 as a way to create this idea of economic equity and to recycle our Black dollars. And those pop-up shops actually support Black women business owners in my neighborhood. Target is going to be fine.
That's right.
Dollar Tree is going to be fine. They have suffered, these Black businesses have suffered so much in this pandemic. Let's have a pop-up shop. Buy from them. Get your mother's gift from them. Your mama will enjoy this gift, right? So that's an example of a thing that I did based on stuff that I like. I like to shop, okay?
Yes.
I decided to put something like that together to benefit my community. Use the skills and talents that you have. If you are a chef, you share. Go to a local church or a local group and give cooking classes. Align yourself with organizations that are doing the work. Here in Los Angeles, I'll give you an example. Here in Los Angeles, there's an organization called Black Women for Wellness. They on Black women. They do advocacy work. They'll go up to Sacramento and fight for policy, but they also hold classes, cooking classes, it's reproductive health classes. There are plenty of opportunities to volunteer with them. So you just got to do a little bit of looking and searching for organizations that are doing the work. Community Coalition that I mentioned before, they're doing that work. You just got to align yourselves, ask how you can help. Girl, they'll find something for you to do, and just figure out how to do that. And again, you can also do your own thing. If you know some kids down the street that need some help with their math or something, you know how to do it, help them. All those little things actually make a big difference. And I think the last thing is you got to vote. I know people are all going to vote. You have to, because these political decisions are going to affect you negatively if you don't vote to make sure you know what's going on. I had a professor that said, if you are not at the table, you are on the menu. If you are not at the table, you are on the menu. They're going to be deciding stuff about your life because you're not at the table. They say, hold on, what are you doing? What's happening? You know, girl, like you said, they sit at the table playing Monopoly with your life.
With your life. That was and you don't even know it. I had to write that one down. I mean, that was a word. That was a word. If you aren't at the table, you on the menu. That's a word. because that is so perfectly true. It is true, 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 true. And so, and I get the whole thing about people not voting. I get it, because what keeps happening every damn time. But the reason it keeps happening is so many things, and I would love us, let's have a politics conversation too. I would love to talk about the reasons that it's so difficult to hold politicians accountable to do stuff. We could, because that's the piece that I think black people don't understand. The way it's about how we choose to hold them accountable, and we not doing it, we not doing our part. And first and foremost is we don't hold our skin folk accountable for doing right and call them in and make them do the right thing. Because as me have been in, corporate, spent my career in corporate, and my book that I have coming out, I'm fiddling around with the title, but I'll tell you the working title, and we trying to figure it out. But the working title is Coons and Karens in the Corporate Kitchen.
Yeah.
So do I need to say more about what the book is about?
Okay.
Coons and Karens in the corporate kitchen. Okay. Yeah. Because, and so the coon issue speaks directly to the voting issue. The voting issue speaks directly to corporations and how corporations control our politics. And us as the labor in these corporations, we do not wield our power like we should. Like, I'm so mad at, and I'm gonna do my best, and I think I can totally boycott Starbucks the rest of my life. Them bastards. And I had to use them like 3 months ago because literally there was nothing and I was starving, and I was like, ugh.
It's
but
horrible.
Them bastards, okay, keep on busting the unions over and over and over and over. And then that bastard tries to psychologically manipulate his employees, telling them union. This is all public health. This is politics. This is the stuff people don't get. And if you think, whether you're talking about, I don't give a shit, Apple, Starbucks, Google, any of them, the people that's answering the phones, the people that's making $8, $9, $10, $11, $15 an hour, they look like me and you.
Yeah.
So why aren't we taking our power and using it?
And you see Amazon, the guy
over and over. Yeah. And look, and that means he needs a lawyer, he needs bodyguards, because Jeff Bezos is not playing. Okay. Right. It's a couple of things now. It's so big and terrible in America that if you go and mess with it, they coming after you. Human trafficking, they coming after you if you go after that. And Amazon, they coming after you if you go after that. Because everybody is making so much money off of those two things. Our forefather colonizer, people, they're running amok and doing their thing. It's crazy.
And a quick story. I have a friend. She actually, as a result, remember now, going back to Starbucks. Remember now, before the unionized stuff. Remember when the young men got escorted out and the whole race
in Philly? Yes, indeed. Yes, my hometown.
She literally opened up her own coffee shop. And so, see, again, using your own power. And I don't think she had $1 million behind her to do it.
Right.
But she said, that made me so mad. I wouldn't open up my own coffee shop. And she has a black woman coffee shop. She's like,
See, and same thing happened with me when it came to tech. That's why I decided to start my own tech company, right? That's why I decided, and what I've been doing over the last 3 weeks, last month or so, is just really getting more clear and detailed on my marketing and all of that. But yes, that's what we have to do. Listen, this has been an amazing conversation. I mean, I love the takeaways around public health, and I'm just going to recap them for the audience, and then we're going to have another conversation about this, because we need to talk more, not only about it, but number one, that public health is not just about healthcare. And that the way that we need to think about public health is really in a more holistic way, that we think about it from the standpoint of housing, of education, of our mental health, of our physical health, of grocery stores, right? Of climate change. It's a whole ass thing, because it's things that impact the public, and our individual health, of course, is a part of that. But in terms of like what we need to do, right, is number one, if it's things that we can do where we are in our own community, right? So whether that is helping to bring, greater, economic opportunity to the area, whether it's doing some mentorship, whether it's shopping and buying local, but you can use your talents and skills to do what you have with what you got. That's boom. Then the other one that I really like, and it's hard if you don't live in an area where, you know, you have a more diverse community, but if you live closer to a large city like a Los Angeles, like a San Francisco, like a Chicago, whatever, then aligning with organizations that you know are doing the work, right? And you can Google some stuff and be like, just type in the word Black women doing work, and I bet you will come up with lists of these groups like the one you said, Black Women for Wellness. I love that, right? And these community coalitions, because that's what it's about. And then that other one, you know, even though, yeah, we got a lot of complicated history, right? With America, with the government, with elections, with voting, right? January 6th last year, they took us on another level. They just keep on traumatizing us with the vote, and that's on purpose too. But we have got to recognize that if we ain't at the table, we is on the menu.
Sure enough.
Hello. If we are not at the table, we on the menu. So at the very least, we need to use our voice and use that power of that vote to say, at least you in and you out. like, and then we need to really do something with it. So what you think? Did I get it? Did I sum it up?
You got it. And the only thing I'm going to add, as far as voting is concerned, I think people also forget, it's not just about that presidential election. That actually probably is not the most important. We're talking about local.
Exactly. And the damn school board.
Yes, that's what I'm talking about. So if you don't want to vote for the president, you need to be up in what's going on in your neighborhood, the city council people and the mayor and whoever. That's where you need to be making sure you showing up at the ballot and telling people, no, I don't like this. I don't like this judge. People forget about them judges too.
That's right.
Let's come up with them judges. What's this judge's stance on substance abuse? Do they send all the Black people to jail? You know, like what?
Exactly.
So that's the kind of stuff I'm talking about when I talk about votes.
Absolutely. I love it. And so you guys got, everybody listening today, you got a full, so much food for thought, so many things to think about. And I just have to thank you again, Nicole, Vick, for joining me. And I am looking forward to talking with you again soon.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you. And thanks, everybody. All right. And we will see you next time on the group chat, Radical Change. Bye.